What's going on, people? Um, Today, I figure I'll share something on perspective, with you guys. I had this for a little while, and after a little conversation I had today with one of my kids, I figured this would be a great time to release. To share this thing I had with you guys, and give you a different way to view perspective, right? This is about perspective. So I'm gonna start off with perspective is a form of how you receive something, right? Is a form of communication of how you interpret what your perspective is about something. So the way you see it and the way others see it, the way you interpret it and the way others interpret it, right? So, y'all, two people or two groups can have a different perspective about a certain thing. So, when it comes to becoming a better individual and allowing the Lord to work on you to better you as an individual, all this plays a part in it. So, it's the way you interpret it, the way you receive the message, and progression and identification, right? Areas that need strengthening, right? So we all have stuff that we need to work on. Everybody has something to work on. If you was perfect, I think you will be somewhere else because everybody has something they need to work on, whether it's knowingly or unknowingly. So once you can see and embrace what you find about yourself, your outlook on life and your behavior towards your behavior towards it changes. If you're a good spirited person looking to change, so your outlook on something that you understand that you got to work on, that you got to change, like I got to work on this, and you start to accept that. But like, well, once you start to accept that, because you understand that you have issues that you're working on, you can start to identify that in others. So once you accept your faults, it's easier for you to accept faults in others. You understand what I'm saying? Because we all have faults. So your decision making changes after you identify certain things, right? Your decision making changes. It improves with changes the whole dynamic when interacting with one another, which changes perception on your outlook on some things. It helps makes better decisions, better decision making skills to make better choices. So the way you view things, right, is going to change your perspective on how you respond to them. You want to make better choices. You want to make better decisions on how to deal with things and approach things. You're just going to, when you start to work on yourself, it's easier for that to come out of you. Understanding your trials and tribulations and how hard, challenging, dangerous, life risking your journey was. Sometimes when you're on the road to healing or whatever, you forget how much you've been through. You when you start to look back and see how much things you overcame and all the experience, the experiences that you had in life, it can become a lot. And you start to understand, like, wow, I didn't make some good choices, and some of the experiences that I had in life, they were real dangerous. And then when you get to the point where you want to change and do better, it can get even worse than what it was back then, sometimes. So you have to understand it also. So remember what you was feeling at those moments, right? And those situations, they all have an emotional attachment to those incidents or those experiences. You have an emotional attachment in most cases. So you always have to remember, because if something happens, you feel some type of way about it, which makes you respond to it. Identifying a lot of identifying a lot of times someone you may be upset with could be going through it also. The clash could be you both are going through something you both don't understand. You understand what I'm saying? And this is like in anything, in a relationship or whether it's friendship or your significant other. Sometimes y'all can be going through certain things and y'all both don't even understand what y'all going through. You know that's a major thing in disagreements. It's like sometimes you argue, you don't really understand like where this come from. You understand, or why things are happening, and it's because y'all both have a different perspective of the incident, and which can cause some confusion and disagreements, and not knowing that y'all both going through something that y'all both don't understand. When you can identify growth in your own journey, you can understand when you don't understand something, like relationships and behaviors associated with those relationships when it comes to other people and treatment. If you can identify that before the other person, you can understand that they're also going through something. You're not the only one going through things. You know, everybody has to go through things. Everybody has to experience certain things. And, you know, sometimes when we're going through certain things in our mind, we start to think like, you know, we feel like we're the only ones going through it, going through certain things. And there's other people's experiencing, you know, a lot of things also. And we also got to remember that, like, you know, sometimes we live in Philadelphia. Like, I'm from Philadelphia, and we live here all our lives. Some people don't never leave Philadelphia. They never visit other countries and other. You know, I had the opportunity to serve in the military, and I went to Iraq. You know, on a tour in Iraq, and I seen how some of the people live and the conditions, and so there's always somebody that's going through certain things too. Like sometimes it could be worse than you. You understand? And if you keep that in your mind and your mindset, then you'll start to change your mindset and the way you view things. So like, you know, it's this stuff when you're doing this, it can get deep. And it takes a lot of growth and a lot of understanding and patience to let it work on you. Well, you know, and this all comes from the Lord. Like, you know, well, in my case, I lean on the Lord for to help me, you know, to guide me through certain things and improve me as a person. And sometimes, you know, you identify growth, but then you still understand that you need more growth in certain areas, and you go to the Lord and ask Him to strengthen you in those areas to improve you as a person. So when you can identify growth, you know, in yourself and others, you understand the treatment. If you can identify that before the other person, you can understand that they are going through something too. Like, you know, it's not only you that's going through something. So you understand that they need help. You know, and sometimes, like speaking for myself, right? When you understand that somebody needs help and stuff like that, you start to view sometimes the treatment that they give you, you start to view it differently because you understand a little bit more than them. And even though sometimes you'll try to explain it to them and it sounds foreign to them, like, you know, you have to have the understanding, like, you know what, I'm just gonna pray. I'm gonna let God continue to work on them. I'm gonna pray for them, and hopefully they'll understand certain things because you can't expect everybody to understand what you're talking about if they're not ready to understand it. And that's something that you have to learn and accept. So with me, sometimes treatment from other people, I would, you know, I would endure it a little bit more because, or tolerate it a little bit more because I view it differently than them. Not to say that it's okay, not to say that you should always deal with it. No, I'm just saying is that was a part of my growth and how I dealt with certain things until I really got some better understanding of certain things. And so I think I tolerated a little bit more than I needed to, but I'm thankful that I got to experience and learn from certain issues, and I give all the glory to God. I give all the glory for the Lord to the Lord for bringing me this far, and you know, He gets all the glory from me. So Yeah, so you endure behaviors that you understand that although words and treatment from people you love hurt, you understand that it's really not them, it's evil spirits or evil energies or however you want to word it or whatever. Sometimes like evil things can take over people and make them react or make them act out in certain things. And when you start to get develop your relationship with God and you start to change your perspective on things, you have you start to understand better how certain things work in your life. And if you can identify that, then the choices you make with that understanding is not between you and man, it's between you and the Lord. And that's when that's with making bad choices, right? Like let's say now you have a better understanding of certain situations, right? But you like, now that you know that, right, and you continue to make negative decisions or whatever, you don't have to respond to man. You have to respond to the Lord about what you're doing because now you know better. There's no excuse. You're saying so. That's when you're making bad choices, you have to keep that in mind. It's like, dang, who I made this wrong thing. You're not going to answer the man. You have to go to the Lord because the Lord, you got to answer to the Lord for certain things, just like me and everybody else. But when you're making good choices, you should always have the mind frame in certain situations like, well, how did the Lord handle this, or what did the Lord do, and better yet, it should be what would you think the Lord would have you do in this situation. When you think better, you act better, which changes the process. Which changes the process of others, right? Inspiration from people around you, inspiring people around you, right? So if you act better, you're teaching and spreading long-lasting behaviors. It's important to be the best version of you, especially while you're around youth, right? See, and this is another thing, now we're going to get into, there's certain things that we have to remember, right? When dealing with people and perception and stuff like that, right? I'm gonna use me for example. There was a time in my life where I struggled and I was doing inappropriate things and maybe my relationship with people wasn't the best and but that now as I sit here today I know that was part of my growth, right? But what I'm saying is that even though you change, right? Even though you're changed for the better, right? To help, to fulfill your goals and you're doing, there's certain people out there that will continue to keep that negative perception in other people's minds, to keep their perception of you at in a certain way, so that way people can continue to think of you a certain way. And even though they know sometimes that you're doing better and you're doing this, they'll still make sure that that person or other people view you a certain way. So that way, if you do encounter them, they already have a perception about you that somebody else put in their mind. And that's the sad part, is because when people do that and see me, I separate myself from people, so I really don't know what's going on out there, but I know what I'm doing. And I know sometimes that when I do go outside and I bump into people, I can already feel that something's not right. You understand? But over this time frame, I kind of know, better. And I just worry about myself, and I worry about what the Lord wants for me, and that's what I focus on. Everything else, the Lord will fix whenever He wants to. All I'm focused on is what He wants for me and what I need to do for my family and the people He wants me to serve. And that's what I keep my mind on. And I actually thank Him for getting me to that mentality. And I give Him all the glory for that. So people who know you change and doing better will only keep negative perception and separation from people while they keep people from knowing the truth. As long as they can do this and have family thinking this is, and have family or friends thinking this, there will always be separation, discontent, miscommunication, and dysfunction in the family unit. Some people who keep tabs on you, who knows you are doing better, won't even say you're doing better because they like to control perception, people you love and family, and that's those are the tricks that I don't have time for, and the Lord. So like we don't have time for that, especially when you're trying to do something great for people and help people. You know, there's better like who wants to wake up every day to make sure somebody is not succeeding at whatever. You understand? Like nobody wants to do that. You know, but if you have the mindset that the youth is the future, you would pretty much do better. I always use myself as an example, but I want to try to put myself, for example, I'm gonna put myself in my kid's mother's shoes, right? There were times where we had arguments, and we were together for a long period of our lives, and we built a whole lot, and we separated, and over the years there was a lot of confusion and arguing, and we did our best to continue to take our kids out and do things as family over the years, but over the last few years, a lot of things has happened and a lot of arguments happened. And, part of my growth was I looked at her like, dang, I don't understand how you can, do certain things. But through my growth, I understand that she was probably going through something too that she don't understand. You understand what I'm saying? So I part of my growth, I can't blame her for anything because, like I said, I learned before that we're here. Sometimes I have to learn something from you, and you have to learn something from me. But it makes our relationship, and depending on what friendship, whatever, however you look at it, it makes it grow. And I had to understand that, and I always respect her for who she is, and she's one of the greatest mothers you could ever meet, and I appreciate all the stuff that I learned from her, and I only want the best for her. Even though we're not together or nothing like that, but I always root for her because she's a great mother to my children, and that's all I can ask for. But I do understand that sometimes we both go through things, and sometimes we don't know what we're going through, which causes those rifts and dysfunctions in families and stuff like that. Because we wasn't always like that. But I do salute her, and she's a great mother. After you understand all that stuff, if you don't still have unconditional love for people, then you haven't really truly grown. Understanding lessons in life to change perspective on treatment. Now, treatment, right? Now, we have to remember when you grow, right? You have to do it respectfully, because right in treatment, I'm gonna end off with this. It's like it's an analogy that I heard before. It's like the hand that you don't shake on the way up might be connected to the ass you got to kiss on the way down, and that's just real talk. You don't know who you treating like certain bad, or you don't know what you're really doing. So you always have to treat people with respect and be kind, and always have the mentality that you want to do something positive and inspire others to do better. Because when you do that, you're spreading that that positivity, which inspires somebody else to take after you, or take or take an initiative to do better. So that's my little thing on perspective, and I hope that you take that information and improve on whatever you need to improve, or even teach it to somebody, or just share a different perspective on it. So salute, and God bless.